Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Living with XXY. So I'm here with Michael, who wasn't diagnosed with Klinefelter syndrome until you were what, 26?
Yes.
So we're going to talk to you a little bit about confidence and how you can help yourself with when it comes to hygiene, executive function, taking care of yourself, moving out of the house when you might be 18, 19, 20, and what your younger years of your life is like. So what at 18 when you graduated high school, did you apply for college in your junior, senior year? Like, how did that go for you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I took all the steps that I needed to go to like a Division I college or whatever in Kansas. And I think in hindsight, I probably had a very similar experience being an 18-year-old as everybody else did. You go in thinking, oh, I've experienced life, I know what I'm doing, and then you don't, and that's fine. You fall, you stumble, you experience setbacks, and I mean, I did with school. I wasn't ready, and so I actually ended up pursuing that at a later time in life. But
so you weren't ready for the academic side, or you weren't ready for like the living on your
the
own
responsibility. Yeah, no. No,
Can you explain a little bit?
I mean, there were so many things that I was exposed to in college that is probably not the best life. But like drinking and partying and stuff that I didn't experience in high school. So trying to like maintain working full time and doing all that, it did not go well.
So were you sheltered as a kid? Or?
Well, I mean, I grew up in a small town. I didn't grow up that far from the college that I first attended.
Were you ready for it? Like, did you know how to do your own laundry and cook for yourself and do the like aspects of taking care of yourself, brush your teeth and like do the things where your parents aren't constantly nagging you to like get that stuff done?
Yes, no, that part, I mean, I lived in, we called it a scholarship house. It's kind of like a frat, but there's like 50 dudes that all live in the same house together.
Okay.
But, you know, we still had our own responsibilities and everything.
Cleaning.
And cleaning. And then we did have like kind of like a communal kitchen, which was nice. But then obviously, if you weren't there for the set time of meals, you had to figure it out on your own. And that, you know, I don't think they really train a lot of high schoolers for, you know, that next. There's certain attributes that you aren't prepared for that you just learn as an adult.
So when you went to school and when you were on your own, how long did you live on your own in that environment? How long
Not
did you
very
last?
long.
Okay.
No, because even though I was like living my best life and having all this fun, I forgot that I was there for college. And so that first semester, I got those final grades in and it was not great. So I ended up leaving probably, I want to say the second semester. And
did you go back home?
I did.
Okay, so did you drop out?
I did.
All right. So you learned a valuable life lesson from your experience of like being into this environment that you've never been in before.
Yeah.
Like the responsibilities of that environment, waking up for class, like taking care of yourself, that was kind of put on the back burner.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed yourself socially.
I did.
What did you learn?
Sure did.
What did you learn socially about that? Like what did you thrive in that environment? Not having that for the first time.
I mean, it was definitely exciting because there were so many new experiences. In hindsight, you know, you hear about like peer pressure or whatever. So you have to, there's a lot of things that you're experiencing at the age of 18 that, you know, you're still learning from childhood, if you will. High school to me is still childhood, especially now that I'm older. And then going into adulthood. And that's why I tell everybody, I was like, you're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen. And it's okay.
How long did it take you to go from moving back home to then moving back out on your own?
Oh, goodness. I want to say I was 20 when I ended up moving back out.
Okay, so like two years later?
Yeah, about a year.
Oh, a year later,
yeah.
Okay.
I was in a different, I was in a relationship and we lived in a different part of the state. So I was, 3 or 4 hours away. but we also owned a business. We decided, you know, at that point, I don't have a traditional 18, 19-year-old story, just so we're clear.
No, I think that's what's not. But I think that's what's really important is like there is no norm when it comes to like going to college or having your experience leaving the house for the first time.
Yeah, but when I was 20, I opened a business with my former partner, and so you had to. I mean, everything was. I had to be responsible. I had to figure out things that worked. And so for me, lists are a big one. There's nothing more satisfying than accomplishing something and, checking off that list.
Actually tactiling, checking it off.
Yeah.
Versus what about like if you use like Google Notes or something where it's in your phone? Do you have to like actually write it down on a piece of paper?
I write everything down.
Okay.
I don't know how to use the apps. Actually, we're working on it.
That's okay.
But I do use the notepad on my phone for everything, so I don't forget things because I do. Sometimes I'll be thinking even about something I want to say or write down for like a speech or something for school, and so I always just write things down when my mind is.
When we were
there.
talking about like Klinefelter syndrome specific, just knowing all the research and talking to all the people that I've done, I would say specifically when it comes to like executive function, taking care of yourself, something along those lines, it needs to be written down.
Yeah, you have to see it.
You have to see it. It has to be physically there. I think like the sticky notes has worked incredibly well for me. I've tried all the like Asana and all the Google Sheets and the Google Keep and all those other
I need
programs.
something physical.
Yes.
So I have a planner as well. I wish I used it better, but I do have a planner, and that way I know, I do the sticky notes in a planner. I've got a physical
like calendar on your...
Yeah, so when I was in grad school, we had a lot of due dates for a lot of things, and so I would actually use Post-its on there as well, the little marker, dry erase.
Okay. Yep, dry erase board.
Yeah.
So I think what's great about that is you've built your own system that like works for you, and you're figuring out. What I've learned is now that I have like an Apple Watch and I've tried to figure out the digital system. I have a volunteer helping with me with like the nonprofit calendar. I've learned to use Google Calendar, which I never used before. And I think there's an aspect of like, that you have to spend time to put in all of like, to write everything down or fill out your calendar, right? For the whole month or for like 3 months in advance. And a lot of that can be like really overwhelming just to actually take what you need to get done and put it on the calendar. And then the next step after that is actually doing the stuff that's on the calendar.
Yes. And well, just like with everything else in the world, whether it be school or something that you're trying to learn about or get better at, it takes practice. It's the exact same thing. You will have hiccups, you will have bumps in the road, even when you're doing things like this. I mean, some days I'm on and some days I'm off. And I only get, 1 or 2 things accomplished. And that's okay because it's still,
I think a good analogy to like kind of end it and leave you guys all with is like, everyone has to climb to the top of the mountain, but when you get to the top of that mountain, all of a sudden you see in the distance, you have an incredible view that you wouldn't have had from the bottom, and everyone falls off at those points in their life where they, like Michael fell off when he was younger. I fell off in high school when I didn't do my grades. I got kicked off the volleyball team. So those experiences like train you for life, but then when you get to the top of the mountain and you see that gorgeous view, there's a ton more mountains in the distance that you have to then walk down that mountain, the backside of that mountain, and then all of a sudden you're going up the front side of another mountain. And every single task, every single thing that you accomplish, it makes you feel good when you believe in yourself and you have confidence. And then once you get that task done, you're just going to be, there's always going to be another list.
Yeah.
There's always going to be like something more, something bigger. And then that's part of life is you gain that experience.
When you start to crave it to a certain extent, you're like, look at everything I've accomplished. Oh, let's go to the next one. So,
and I think that's when you're in like a good mindset is when you do crave it, when it does like, oh, it feels good to have that checked off my list and to start new. So that's a wrap for all of you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and Michael will be sharing more about his life in future videos. Talk to you all soon.